Hi, I'm JJ. Welcome back. It is June, so it is Pride Month. And so for this month, last year I did a whole bunch of my favorite Pride recommendations of the books that I read. This one I decided instead of doing recommendations only or just a TBR, I have a few recommendations of ones I've read since I did that original video, but also a pile of possibilities. So I have a ton of books here that I'll just go through, and if any of them are of interest, maybe I can give you guys some ideas. If you read any of them, please let me know so I know to kind of move them up my list if I need to. So I'll start with a few that I wanted to recommend that I read. And so the few that I don't have with me, I forgot to recommend last year, All Boys Aren't Blue. And that one is a nonfiction one. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name. So for the ones that I don't have physical copies of, I am going to list down below so that you have those as well. And then another one is a sci-fi Sapphic story called The Space Between Worlds. And I believe that's Micaiah Johnson. And that is a story about alternate universes and how this one can jump from universe to universe. And what's unique about her is the fact that the reason she can jump from universe to universe is you can only go to another universe if your version of yourself in that universe is already dead. And so she wants to try to figure out why versions of herself keep getting killed. And so you kind of have this intriguing story along with the cool versions of other worlds and stuff, with an interesting romance there. And then another one that I do not have, it's a Achilles story, and it's the oh gosh, shoot, I can't remember it. The forest won't let me in, or something like that. Now I can't remember exactly what it's called. And it is going to be down below so that I don't completely mess this all up. But that is a story about a boy who has a crush on his this other boy who's his friend, and that boy and him fight monsters at their school, and the monsters are versions of what the boy he likes draws. So like his drawings come to life, and it's the whole idea of if they're kind of good together, if they're bad together, if this boy is got this huge bad secret that he's hiding, and if it's worth it continuously fighting these monsters. And it's interesting. It's beautifully written. And another one, I can't say recommend Achilles romances without saying the Song of Achilles. So that one as well. And then the rest of them I have all here. So the one that I finished recently is Rooting Interest, and this is by Kat Sabato, and this is about the WNBA. A rising star of a fake WNBA team, and a reporter who used to cover the NFL, but is pulled from that beat and now has to cover the WNBA, which she knows nothing about. And so it starts off as, they start off on the wrong foot, and it kind of follows them as they both try to figure out what's most important to them in their careers, and also maybe not navigating a possible romance between them. And it is a novella, so it is a very short read. And this other one, I actually, this is my most recent finish, and this is Leap, and this is a graphic novel. It is a Sapphic story, and it's by a Romanian author. And so it's set in Bucharest and Romania. And so it follows a elite school of dance, and one girl is in a secret relationship with a girl who's in the closet but only focused on her ballet career and kind of doesn't have time for her. And then it also follows her new roommate, who has a crush on one of their teachers as she starts to realize her own sexuality and stuff like that. It's a really cute, also very quick read. One of my favorite books that I've read so far this year was The Color Purple. I read this way back in January, and it does have a Sapphic love story. It's a beautiful story, but just be aware there are a lot of trigger warnings in this that you might want to check out first, because it is set just post slavery, so there's a whole lot of racism, and the main character who continuously gets abused and stuff in multiple ways. So there are a lot of trigger warnings there, but it is a very beautiful story. Not only the relationship between the two lovers, but the two sisters as well. And another of my favorites that I read last year is And Next Time Will Be Our Turn. And this one is by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I forgot to say, obviously, Alice Walker. If you haven't read this one yet, you do have to read The Color Purple. But this one is a, it's Indo-Chinese characters. And so they're actually, I believe they're not always in, now I read it last year, and I've read so many, but basically I believe that they're in Singapore, and they have to go to the United States to school, and the main character falls in love with her one of her classmates, and can't tell her very repressed and conservative family, so she always has to hide it. They have to hide their relationship, and so you get that all in the retelling, because it starts out with a girl who's in the closet as well, scared to tell her family, when her mother or her grandmother walks into a family party with a woman on her arm, and then she wants to know the whole story, and is surprised to learn, that her grandma is bucking tradition and finally living her truth and coming out. So you get kind of both stories as the grandmother tells her daughter. Basically, she sees herself in her granddaughter and wants to keep her from making the same mistakes. So she shares her story, and it's so beautiful. And I cried so much on this one. And then one of my other favorites that I've read this year, when I read it, it was my favorite book ever, but you have recency bias and stuff, but I still think about this constantly, and it still is one of my favorites. But this is Queen of Faces, and this is by Petra Lord, and it is sci-fi. It's a very beautiful trans story, but it does have different queer relationships just because of all the different things going on in the story, because you have body hopping and stuff like that. And I did a full video just of that, which I'll post below as well, just so that I don't have to take up so much time reading or talking about all this again. And another one, and I've read this one ages ago, but this one is That Inevitable Victorian Thing by E.K. Johnston. And this is one of the few books that I've read that actually features intersex character. And so you kind of get that, and a really unique way of telling the story, because there's like news clips, and there's like media used and stuff, like social media type of like interludes between chapters, but the setting feels like it's, you know, Victorian age, even though it also almost feels sci-fi futuristic. It's really hard to describe, and I know I'm not going to do it justice, so go ahead and read the description for this one and take a look at it, because it was very interestingly done. So now all the rest will be my piles of possibilities of things that I know that I won't get through all of them, but I just recently was trying to pull books for a video for my 50 before 50 story or video, and I thought while I'm pulling books, I would just pull all of the ones that I knew that I had that I could include for Pride Month. So that's what these all are. So this is Fire from the Sky, Moa Bake Estat, and this is a Sami story, indigenous people, and I believe it takes place in either Norway or Finland. I'm not quite sure, but the Nordic up there, and it's a love story between two boys within the village. This is my newest purchase because it just came out, and I will read anything that Kelly Quinlan writes. So this is a book called This Must Be the Place, and this woman, or this girl, inherits a queer bar or club, and has to figure out what she wants to do with it, as she kind of realizes her uncle was gay, and also kind of forms a new found family within the community at this gay bar. So I'll probably read that one soon. A World Worth Saving. This is by Kyle Lukoff, and this is fantasy inspired by Jewish mythology and stuff, world building, but it also includes a bunch of trans characters, including the main character, who is a trans boy. Her Wicked Roots by Tanya Pell. And first of all, this one is very beautiful, but this is a kind of a YA horror fantasy type of story, and I'm just kind of creeped out by this. Thanks given to the garden, for the garden is good and right. So it sounds like it's a very cult-like and very intriguing because of so. And a woman kind of goes in to explore this garden area because her brother goes missing, I believe, and gets involved with this weird family of sisters that are hiding something, are like kind of creepy and scary. Although she falls for one, I guess. So we'll see what all happens here. But the cover of this I just thought was gorgeous. This is The City Beautiful by Aidan Polydoros. And this was another one. So this is a historical fiction too. And this one is like a reimagining of the World's Fair in Chicago in 1893, which I also read The Devil in the White City, which is all about the creation of that fair and the serial killer during that time. So that was a really good nonfiction book, and this is kind of like a retelling. So you have this serial killer on the rampage, but instead of killing the basically single women or the women who come to town to visit, and he thinks nobody will miss them, because of all the stuff going on. This one, they are targeting Jewish boys. And so this boy's friend is one of the victims, and he has to try to figure out who's doing it and how they can stop him and why it's all happening. And he is also, he's gay, so it will be a kind of a combination of Jewish history as well as queer history as well. So that probably will not be a very light read. Some of these are not at all light reads. This is All the Yellow Suns by Malavika Cannon. I also love the colors in this one, very pretty pastels. And this one is also a Sapphic story about art and not revolution, but resistance, I guess. And one of the characters is a recent immigrant, and the other one is a rich, wealthy white woman. And I'm sure it's going to explore the race and class there, as one feels safer to do the activism than the other, but the one learns to stand up and fight for herself and her family and her loved ones as well. So I don't know, just it sounded interesting. I liked the colors. This one I've had for a long time, and this one is The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Jandara Petrus. And this is also a Sapphic story, and I believe one of the characters is from Trinidad in Spain, and of the port of Spain, and then she has to move with her family to Minneapolis because she is caught with the preacher's daughter and sent away because of the reputation and stuff that creates for the family, and has to find herself again and understand herself, and she finds it with one of the girls in her new town. This one is a fantasy, Dauntless, by Elisa A. Bonin. You get fantasy characters, monsters and stuff, monster fighters, riders, and a enemies to lovers story. This one features a trans girl, so this is called Melissa. This is King and the Dragonflies by Kason Calendar, and this one deals with grief as he's grieving his brother, but also hiding the fact that he realized he likes boys from the rest of his family. So that one. Another trans story. This is Joy to the World by Kai Shapley and Lisa Bunker, and this is about a trans middle grade student who wants to join the cheerleaders in her small town in Texas. So that will be interesting. And then this is Fire Becomes Her by Rosalie Thor. And this one is also a very beautiful cover. This is political intrigue, and I don't know if it's historical fiction or historical fantasy fiction, but I know that the main character is asexual, so we don't get a lot of that. There was another book that I had, but I don't see that in my pile, and I'll put that down below too, because that features two of the main characters are both asexual and aromantic, and that is something that lacks representation, so I will definitely include that title and author down below. This is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, and this is another enemies to lovers fantasy. And when at the tagline, it says they loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes and they've killed each other in every one. And how does that not sound fascinating? And I know there's a couple more that I'm missing as I'm doing this, but this was still a big list, so I think we're okay. This is Casey McQuestion's One Last Stop. This is also like magical realism type of thing, as it involves time traveling, and has been on my list for a while. I know it's going to be good. I just haven't read it yet. Also, another time traveling one, but this is A Passage to Tokyo by Poppy Kuroki. I cannot read. I'm so sorry. Kuroki. And this is a woman from 1995 who travels somehow back in time to 1923, just before the Great Kanto earthquake kills tens of thousands of people. So she travels back in time and knows the history and knows what's going to happen. And I don't know if she tries to stop it or if she is even able to try to stop it. But while she's there, she falls in love with one of the girls, and it's got to be horrifying knowing what could happen and befall her if she doesn't save everybody. So that should be really interesting. And once again, a beautiful cover. Just really sorry that I really badly pronounced that name. This is Iron Widow. This has been on my list forever. And this is by Ziran J. Zhou. And this is also a retelling of some of the Chinese history of, not quite sure what time frame, because this came out around the same time as She Who Became the Sun, and I believe they are telling the same story of the same empress, but from different completely retellings of that part in history. But I'm not fully sure because I haven't read this, and I know that this does have a sequel to it, so I need to read this one first. But this one features basically a love triangle between the main character and two guys, but I do believe that it becomes a poly ship, or that the guys might be in a relationship as well. So I'm not quite sure, but it definitely fits within Pride Month. If anyone does know for sure, please let me know. This was Mongrel by Hanako Footman, and this is also a Japanese story, and this one follows three women in a family as they navigate different points in their lives, and one of them is in love with her best friend. So I'm almost done. I'm sorry this is going longer. Swimming in the Dark by Thomas Jadrowski. And this is taking place in Poland. And so it's a historical fiction where two guys in 1980s Poland, it's the decline of communism and everything there. So it's really conservative and shut down, and they find love in the midst of it, but then have to hide themselves for fear of their lives and their families and stuff. So it's also very short, and this one I've been wanting to read for a long time. Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I did read the prequel to this of the start of this royal coven that I think it's Queen Anne's Bees, or something like that. Queen Bee, about Anne Boleyn. That's what it was. And so this is takes place in the court of Queen Elizabeth, Anne's daughter, and features a whole group of new witches and stuff that we didn't get to see in the prequel at all. This one's very short, and this is Sturgis Seeks Bacchus, and this is by Norman Erickson Pasaribo. I'm so sorry, but this is an Indonesian author, and it's not even like it's like a collection of poetry and stuff, or just little tidbits, but it's a gay man's story, from what I understand. This is also a recent one that I really think is beautiful. I love the colors on the owl there. And so this is Mexican fantasy mythology about this girl who at night becomes an owl who brings the souls of the dead, into their, eternal home. The caveat here for this is that her girlfriend died like 8 months ago, and she refuses to bring her home. So at night, each night, they meet in the spirit world and continue their relationship, because she's just not ready to move on yet. So it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking, but beautiful. And then if I'm feeling very ambitious, A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, and she wrote The Prior of the Orange Tree, and this is a prequel to that. It's supposed to be even better. It's Sapphic. It features dragons and beautiful world building that already is familiar if you read Priory of the Orange Tree. But if you haven't, then this would be a good place to start, and then you can kind of go into Priory, since this is the prequel. So those are my pile of possibilities and some recommendations for Pride Month. So happy Pride Month. And just as a reminder, specifically, I do say this every so often, but I feel like it's something I really want to say today, which is, as always, you are valid, you matter, you are enough, you are loved, you are seen, and please stay.